If there is ever a time to defeat Obamacare, it is now. Moreover, we have, I believe, the best opportunity we will have, and possibly the last good opportunity we will have, to defund Obamacare with the continuing resolution. 62 days from now, on September 30th, the continuing resolution expires, which funds the federal government. Now, I have publicly stated, along with Senator Mike Lee and Senator Marco Rubio and a number of others, that under no circumstances will I support a continuing resolution that funds even 1 penny of Obamacare. In order to win this fight, we need to get 41 Republicans in the Senate to make the same commitment, or we need 218 Republicans in the House. And if we can actually get Republicans to stand up and fight this fight, I believe we can win this fight. Now, how will it play out? What I think should happen, I think the House of Representatives should pass a continuing resolution that funds the entirety of the federal government, every aspect of the federal government, except and that explicitly prohibits any funding going to Obamacare, that picks up the language on the legislation I've admitted to defund Obamacare and attaches it to the continuing resolution. Now, the next step, we've seen this play before. The next step will be that President Obama and Harry Reid will scream and yell, why are those mean and nasty Republicans threatening to shut down the government over Obamacare? And at that point, we've actually got to stand up and fight. We've got to stand up and make the argument and win the argument that no, that's not true. We have voted to fund the federal government. We want to fund the federal government. Why is President Obama threatening to shut down the federal government? Because he wants to force Obamacare down people's throats, because he's not willing to give individual families the same waiver he's given giant corporations. And then we've got to win that fight. We've actually got to stand by our guns. And let me note, if we don't do it now, in all likelihood we never will. On January 1st, the exchanges kick in and the subsidies kick in. And the Obama administration's plan is very simple. It is to get as many Americans as they can addicted to the subsidies, addicted to the sugar, because they know that in modern times no major entitlement, once it was implemented, has ever been unwound.
Let's begin over here.
Mike Moore for the Weekly Standard. I wanted to challenge your assertion that the American people are with you on this, because there haven't been a lot of polls that have asked about defunding, but the few that have said that American people actually don't agree with defunding Obamacare. They say they want to repeal it, they want to delay it, but that I think the big answer was they don't think that defunding a law is the proper way to govern. And so my question is, why are you pursuing a strategy that appears to have sort of a high risk politically and policy-wise, but not a lot of reward?
Let me answer that a couple of ways. Number one, polls have multiple functions. Sometimes people use polls to ascertain what the American people believe. Sometimes people craft polls to be tools in advocacy. It's very easy to craft a poll. Indeed, I can think of one poll that's been circulated by one group that is opposed to defunding Obamacare, where you ask people, should we risk shutting down the government in order to challenge the health care law? And if you phrase it in an aggressive enough way, you can get a pretty significant. Now, interestingly enough, even phrased as aggressively as you want, it was interesting that polling, half of Republicans said yes. Even phrased in the most ridiculous, offensive way, half of Republicans said absolutely. Now, what's interesting is if you frame it the other way. Should President Obama shut down the federal government in order to force Obamacare on individual families, even though corporations are getting a waiver? You know what? Those poll numbers flip around immediately. Now, what I'll tell you is, listen, polls like that are largely useless. Those are not real polls. Those are polls designed to make an advocacy point. At the end of the day, This is the right thing to do, I believe, and the principled thing to do. It is a strategy, it is the only strategy I'm aware of that can work. And if we do not pursue this strategy, we are saying we surrender. Obamacare will remain a permanent feature of the American economy. And you know what? There are an awful lot of members of Congress in both houses who campaigned explicitly on saying we will fight to repeal Obamacare, and